So I'm online and I'm looking for a good video about the Festool LR32 system. Now there are some videos out there, but they don't go into great detail of how the system works and why I need it. So a couple weekends ago I got the LR32 system and I've been playing with it, using it on the weekends because I'm a hobbyist and a lot of my shop time comes on the weekends. Since I've been using the LR32 system, I'm really amazed by how well it's made and how fast it speeds up my production. Now the project I'm working on is I'm building some cabinets for my garage. I need some more storage. So using the LR32 system, it's really made that process a lot faster. So what I'm planning on doing is this video is just going to show you a quick little overview of the product, and I'm going to do a little explaining of it. But for some future videos, I'm going to do a video on the end stops, how to set up the end stops and why you want to set them up in the way that you have to set them up. And then I'm going to do a video on the stop rods, showing you how to set those up and how to use them. I'm not going to do a video or show you how to calibrate the LR32 system with your Festool OF1010 or the OF1400 router. Simply because Festool already has online or on YouTube a couple videos that go into pretty good detail to show you how to calibrate the LR32 system. What I don't want to do is duplicate what's already out there. So when a guy does do a search on the Festool LR32 system, some new content is out there and available for him. So I'm going to do my best to go into detail about the LR32 system and how it's going to speed up your production and how easy it's going to make your life assembling your cabinets, installing your doors, and installing your drawers. So let me go ahead, get set up, and we'll get to it. Kitty's playing with a ball of yarn. Oh, that's so cute. I could watch that all day. I gotta turn this off. In order to use the Festool LR32 system, you'll need two extra items. You'll need a Festool OF1010 or 1400 router. I have the OF1400 router. And you will need a LR32 rail. I like to call this the holy rail because it has all the holes in it to index the guide plate. And you can also use this just like you would with the regular guide rails. They come in 55-inch and 95-inch lengths. This is the 55-inch length. So when you purchase the LR32 set, it comes in a CISP1. And this is everything that you get. Everything that you need for your line boring is in a sustainer. So consider it like a portable line boring machine. You get two stop rods. You'll get two of the end stops. Two clamps to hold the rail in place. And you get the guide plate. This is what your router is going to attach to. And for you guys out there who have the OF1010, you get the needed spacer and screw knobs to attach the router to the guide plate. And for you guys out there who have the OF1400, the two screws are provided to secure the OF1400 router to the guide plate. You get an Allen key to set up and calibrate the LR32 system. 35mm cup hinge bit and two 5mm bits. One is a spade bit for drilling all the way through your panels, and one is a flush bottom bit. And then you also get the center pin. You're going to use this to center up the router to the guide plate. And a quick bit of information. Now when you put the stop rods back into the sustainer, to make it go in smoothly, set this at 37mm. That just shows how well thought out this system is. Because when you set this at 37mm, it slides in there and fits in there perfectly. It's an exact fit. Now Why 37 millimeters? Well, because that's what you're going to set that stop rod up to get your first roll of holes on your panel. Let me show you. Here's a side panel of a cabinet that I'm in the process of building. Now with the LR32 system, I'm able to accurately locate my front roll of holes, centered at 37 millimeters in from the front edge. And in the style that I like to build my cabinets, I like to recess my back panel in 19 millimeters. And that means I need the adjustability that the LR32 system provides to set up my back roll of holes centered at 37 millimeters from my back panel. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with this style of a jig. Well, with this style of jig, it does not give me the adjustability that the LR32 provides. The only thing I can do with this jig is expand it. And I can locate my front roll of holes at 37 millimeters, but in the style that I prefer to build my cabinets, I cannot get my back roll of holes centered at 37 millimeters from my back panel. If I was to use this jig, my back roll of holes would be about 12 millimeters from the back panel of my cabinet. Well, that's not going to give me a professional, clean, uniform look like the LR32 system gives me. And since I'm able to locate my front roll of holes at 37 millimeters from the front edge, I'll be able to locate my hinge plates and assemble those before I assemble my cabinet. And what that's going to allow me to do later when I hang the cabinets is come back and hang and install my doors, and it's just going to make the process a lot easier. So let me give you a quick display as to how the system actually works. Now I have my end stop set up at 16 up and out. That's how you want to set your end stops out when drilling the holes for your side panels of your cabinets. I'll go more into that on my next video. And I have my stop rods set up at 37 millimeters to the scale. Now once you have your stop rods set up and the pins are touching the front edge of your board, you can clamp down the guide rail to your workpiece. And then you can remove the stop rods. Now what the stop rods are used for, they're used to set up and make sure that your guide rail is parallel to the front edge of your board. Once you have that in place, you want to make sure that you clamp your workpiece secured to the table. Now nothing's going to move on me. Now, I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up or not, but notice the marks that I have on my guide rail. I use dry eraser markers. So I use a red marker to locate where I'm going to drill the holes out for my hinge plate. The green line represents where I'm going to drill the hole out for my 35 millimeter cup hinge on the door. And I have blue lines here that are used to represent where I'm going to drill out my adjustable shelving. And my other two red lines for my other hinge plate and the green line for my other 35 millimeter cup hinge. Now I like to color code these. That's just my method of using the system. You can also use a pencil mark or what other creative way you can come up with. Now I find that the dry eraser wipes off the aluminum guide rail real easily. Now the reason why I color code these is that's going to tell me what I'm drilling out. Because if you can see here on the guide plate itself, there's a window with a little arrow. And when the guide plate is on the guide rail, I have that color line coming through the window. So now I know what I'm drilling out. So some of you guys might think that the actual holes on the rail is what you're drilling through, but with the router attached to the guide plate and the guide plate sitting on the rail, you can see that the router's hanging off the side, so you're actually drilling off to the side here. Now there is a pin on the bottom of the guide plate. And that pin is on a toggle, spring-loaded toggle. And what that pin does is it goes into the holes on the guide rail. So they index off of one another. So my first hole here is for my hinge plate. So when I make that plunge, I'm going to press on the toggle, and that's going to lift up the pin, and I can now slide it over into the next hole. And when you hear that snapping sound, you know that you're in the next hole. And these holes are located 32 millimeters apart. So that's the accuracy that you're going to get with the LR32 system. All your holes are going to be perfectly lined up 32 millimeters apart from each other, which is important when using European style hardware. Now what I like to do is, since my hose and my power is coming off here on the side, I start from the bottom of my workpiece. That way I could drag the router along the guide rail. Because if I was to start at the top, at my top hole location, when I go and I make my plunges and I work down the panel, my hose can hang off the side here and it's going to catch up on my workpiece or my guide rail. So I like to just drag it towards me. I highly recommend the LR32 system. It far exceeded my expectations. And I really can't say enough about it without this sounding like an infomercial. But keep in mind that you need a Festool OF1400 router or the OF1010 router and a LR32 rail in order to utilize the LR32 system. Well, thanks for watching. Make sure to stay tuned in for my upcoming videos about the LR32 system.